Well, hello out there. I'm coming at you from the Fishers parking lot where the traffic is, I think, starting to move a little bit after this wild Mudsock game. I think over 8,000 fans were here tonight again to see this phenomenal high school rivalry. Hamilton Southeastern wins it 35-34 in overtime. And one of those games where it just felt like it was just going to come down to something, one big play, one turnover potentially, and it ended up coming down in large part to a 2-point conversion in overtime. And Fisher scored first, kind of like last year. They scored first in overtime, sort of flubbed the extra point last year. They didn't even get it off, and then HSC scored to win the game 27-26. This year, Fisher's got the ball first and decided to go for two after Kobe Martin ran it in from 4 yards out. HSC went offside, so pushed the ball up to the 1 yard line, and Kurt Funk, the Fishers coach, decided to go for two and gave the ball to Martin, who his numbers incredible: 285 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns on 37 carries for the Miami of Ohio recruit tonight. But gave the ball to him there in the backfield. Judah Parker came in. I'll write about this a little bit more, but he basically said, it wasn't even the play that he was supposed to shoot that gap really, but, there's dumber things you could probably do in that position than go after Kobe Martin, who'd been running the ball so well for Fishers. So he made the play in the backfield, kept Fishers from scoring, so it's 34-28 at that point. And then HSC gets the ball, and Jalen Alexander scores, and then they get the extra point from Hugo Belmonte, knocked it through, set off the wild celebration, and HSC wins it 35-34 in overtime. So wild scene, great game. Back and forth. Like I said, Martin had 285 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. John Anthony Hall had 8 catches for 142 yards for Fishers. Their offense really started getting going in the second half. They were down 21-7 at halftime. And really the story of the game for HSC, as far as their offense went, was big plays. I mean, it was almost entirely big plays. And the stats kind of bear that out. It ends up being a really sort of an even game statistically, but, the touchdowns were long ones for HSC. They had Jalen Alexander in the first quarter had a 96-yard touchdown run. Chandler Weston, their quarterback, had a 67-yard touchdown pass to Donovan Hamilton. Weston also had a 67-yard touchdown run in the second quarter. So 2 67-yard touchdowns in that quarter. And then a 72-yard run late. Jalen Alexander had another huge run there. That put him up 28-21 and came at a big time. That was kind of, wrote about that, kind of the turning point a little bit. Fishers had 3rd and 12, had HSC in a 3rd and 12, had a holding call. So that set up a 3rd and 2 then for HSC. And that was the play. Alexander goes 72 yards for a touchdown. So that put him up 28-21. Fishers goes right back down the field, though, and scores with 3:44 left. That was a 9-play, 80-yard drive. Martin takes it in. And at that point, you just felt like they couldn't stop Martin, really. And, they were mixing in the pass, Fishers was at that point, too. Bennett Gorak ended up 12 for 22, 186 yards through the air. And, they were picking apart HSC a little bit as the game went along. But, just too many big plays. HSC able to hit you with those big plays so often. And they were able to do so tonight and just made that one big play defensively to get that stop on the 2-point conversion. Again, Judah Parker made that play. And like I said, I'll have a little bit more from him on what he saw on that play. But he just stepped up and made it in a huge play. HSC is now 4-0, and they were ranked number 4 coming in. Fishers drops to 3-1. They can't mess around next week. They've got a tough game against Brownsburg, so that's tough. You come off this loss, and it was really just very disappointing. You could kind of feel it Fishers obviously felt like they had it or had a chance anyway late in this game, and just very, very disappointing, especially 2 years in a row to lose the way they have in overtime to their biggest rival. But a lot of those guys know each other really well, and there's a lot of talking and stuff during the game, but then after the game you see them hugging and telling each other great job, and it's just saw Mason Alexander and Kobe Martin there after the game talking, and all those guys obviously being in the same district have grown up playing against each other and with each other and all kinds of things. So just a very intense rivalry, but a fun one. Like I said, 8,000 people out here tonight to watch it, and it's pretty far after the game now, and still people getting out of the parking lot. So it's always a great atmosphere and a great game. But HSE wins it 35-34 in overtime. And some of the other games tonight, I know IMG Academy, that was another game people were kind of looking for. IMG comes up and beats the top-ranked team in Indiana, Ben Davis, 34-14. I don't have too many details yet on that game, other than what I've seen online. I know IMG got up to an early 14-0 lead, and they go on to win 34-14 over Ben Davis. Westville beat Noblesville 28-21. That Chittard Cathedral game, I'm probably going to be over there in the morning. It was Cathedral 21-10, but that game got postponed due to malfunctioning lights out there at Arlington. So they're going to play that game 10 a.m. tomorrow. A little time to go over the game plan tonight for both those coaching staffs, but that game will continue at Chittard tomorrow at 10 a.m. Again, Cathedral leads that one 21-10. Mooresville all over Greenwood tonight, 59-22. A huge win for Mooresville. Hogan Denny had 5 touchdowns in that game passing, and Levi Dorn had a big game, 261 yards, I believe. I'm sorry, Denny had 261 yards passing and 118 rushing. So quite a game for Denny and that Mooresville team. Bouncing back, Tri-West got a big win tonight. 26-21, they beat Western Boone. Heritage Christian 24-20 beats Eastern Hancock. Brownsburg 53-30 over Avon. I think Brownsburg was pretty handily ahead most of the way in that one. Center Grove comes back and beats Cincinnati Moeller 35-34 in overtime. So Center Grove goes to 3-1 now, and you can do some comparative scores. Ben Davis beat Moeller by 3 touchdowns, and Center Grove only beats him by 1 in overtime. So I think that is, relatively meaningless probably, but I think it's something you can at least judge games off slightly looking at those two common opponents. And some other games tonight, Covenant Christian beat North Putnam 44-37. Danville rolls over Crawfordsville 51-7. Or I'm sorry, 51-0. Franklin, beats Whiteland 22-21. Huge win for the Grizzly Cubs. Greenfield Central 43-38 beats Pendleton Heights. Guerin Catholic, a huge win, 34-29 over Brebeuf. So that's a huge win. Lawrence North beats North Central 49-14. Louisville Trinity all over Carmel 41-14. Martinsville beats Decatur 25-24. That's a bit of an upset there. New Pal 63, Mount Vernon 39. Some wild scores and some close games tonight. Plainfield 21-20 over Perry Meridian. Pike gets their first win. Its first win 46-14, beating Southport. Roncalli 38-10 over Columbus North. Cecina up on Beech Grove at last check. And see, Triton Central 55-28 over Monrovia. Warren Central, big win for the Warriors, 25-16 over Lawrence Central, which is now 1-3. So that's a big win for Warren, moves to 2-2. And Zionsville beat Franklin Central 24-10. Zionsville's been playing some pretty good football too. So that's kind of the story for tonight. Going to get to write my story here, and it looks like the parking lot's cleared out finally a little bit. But again, great game tonight. HSC wins it 35-34 in the Mudsock game in overtime. But man, what a phenomenal effort! And I think you walk away thinking, man, what's that next game between these teams going to be like? Just a great game between the two of them. And, Kobe Martin in a losing effort, but 37 carries, 285, 3 touchdowns, really put the team on his back. Wasn't quite enough, though. Like I said, Alexander had a huge game. Jalen Alexander, that is, for HSC. 200 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. I thought Chandler Weston played really, really well in his first game. His first start in the Mudsock game was 9 for 18 passing for 147, and also had a big run. Like I said, 72-yard run. And, that's I thought he showed a lot of poise, in a game where it'd be easy to get rattled. I thought he showed a lot of poise. And and also, I don't think I mentioned the kicker for Hamilton Southeastern. They had a 48-yard field goal attempt at the end of regulation to win it, and came up just a little bit short. But I think he's capable. Hugo Belmonte, I think he's capable of hitting a field goal that distance. And talked to him a little bit too about that and the pressure of the extra point. He had to come back and hit that extra point in overtime and put it through for the win. So I think he's got some ability. He's really good on kickoffs, good weapon for them on kickoffs, and almost hit that field goal, like I said. So, again, 35-34, no shortage of things to write about, so I'll get to that. But thanks for checking in, and week 4 of high school football in the books. So we'll stay tuned at IndyStar.com. We'll have a lot more coverage throughout the week.